that Agi he tends to morph into, that's basically all going to be removed by this Elder Titan aura.
Yeah, it's a solid pick to counteract that morph. Even the DK, of course, has that high natural resist that's going to suffer. So the team fight from Adriot is starting to line up. I think the aggression that they have with this trio is looking pretty solid. The big question is, how much can Ben Soy get from the core ET? We haven't seen the ET in the core role in a while, but I think it still works out. It's still a very early timing hero, and you can get a lot done. So Adriot, it does feel like they've drafted something that suits their playstyle. It fits into early aggression, early team fights, and if you let this draft get ahead, it's just going to snowball really hard. They've got the Medusa. You can't afford to fall behind here if you're GEEK fam.
Choose your hero.
Brewmaster comes out from GEEK fam. I almost thought we were watching TNC for a second there. The Brewmaster's not something they've picked up as of yet. I don't mind seeing the pickup come out. It does mean we are going to see that position 4 Queen of Pain, so Adriot were correct in assuming that. I don't know how to feel about it though. Like, the Tornado seems quite nice for Natsumi. You just Tornado the Medusa up, take care of everyone else, and then deal with the Medusa last, assuming you can win that team fight. But this draft, do they have enough to deal with the Medusa? Like, ultimately, if things don't go as planned in the team fight, which 90% of the time it doesn't, right? It's usually chaos in the team fight.
Oh yeah.
Is this enough of a draft to deal with Natsumi's Medusa?
There's a really early timer for that to deal with it. I think if you're talking about maybe 15 to 20, 25 minutes max, yeah, they've got enough to handle the Medusa. And as long as Adriot kind of whiff the egg and the Titan spells, then you have an opening. But past 25, which is the tendency we've seen for Medusa, it comes online really early. Past that point, it can get a bit too big. You're talking about a lot of durability there. You're talking about focusing every hero on that one Medusa, and again, we've seen the Medusa Morphling matchup. Even an early shotgun from the Morphling, it's just not enough in terms of raw damage. So GEEK fam has to play pretty darn fast. They have to maximize this Zephyr Queen of Pain, just play aggressively, ensure that Natsumi doesn't have a good time farming, and ensure Raven gets online fast, because again, you can't allow that Medusa to grow big. It just takes over the game.
See how it all pans out. It is game number 1 between GEEK fam and Adriot. Both these teams have looked pretty darn good over the past few days. This is a very, very close kind of matchup to start us off for today, I would say.
Yeah.
In fact, they're right next to each other in the group stage right now in terms of standings.
That they are. And again, they've been really even in their matchups. Head-to-head is just 50-50. This draft is pretty close from each side as well. Like, you've given GEEK fam some comfort picks, like Raven having this morph. We've seen him play this really, what, I'd say 90% of the time, 80% of the time in the game so far. He has performed great. It's just, again, it's a tall order for Morphling up against Medusa. Just based on how that matchup went the past few days, the Medusa really just takes over. So it's down to GEEK fam to play aggressive. I think one really important thing is Cuckoo's lane. They can't allow the Brewmaster to fall behind. Cuckoo needs to be ready to buy that space for the morph, to start chaos very early on.
Yeah, it all pans out. Matt going to be there up against Carl in that mid lane. It's not going to be the funnest matchup for this Ember. So the DK can be quite frustrating to have to go up against in that 1v1 matchup. There's a lot of pressure here on Raven. He's going to really farm up quite fast in this Morphling. What kind of item build do you think this morph will go for? Like, will we see Raven going for that Sanjin Yasha build that we've seen Savage going too many times? Do we see the shotgun again?
I think in this case, you don't have the Shaker, so you are usually just going shotgun straight up. Shotgun, I wouldn't blame him for maybe going a bit differently, maybe a Diffusal just to deal with Medusa, but what we've tended to see is a shotgun. The only time they deviate is when you have the Shaker for the Ags. So it's really just going to be that shotgun timing key for Raven. He needs it up while the Medusa is squishy, because we've seen it once you have max mana shield. It really doesn't do much. It just tickles that Medusa.
Okay. I'm sure that's probably the way Raven will go anyway. Just thought I'd ask, see if you had any interesting ideas for this Morphling to try and deal with Natsumi. In fact, every Medusa we've seen so far, I feel like has won. Is it 100% win rate right now? These Medusa picks?
You know,
right?
I think it has been. Yeah, I think it has been like over 3-4 games every single time. But it's just there. It feels like a lot of teams have forgotten how to deal with it. We're not seeing the punishment in the jungle. And again, it's down to GEEK fam to shut the map down. Because Natsumi, again, that space is going to be key.
They put him in the safe lane as well on that Medusa, so he's going to be feeling very, very safe. And that CML right there as well, so you already have the combination of the Venge Medusa in the same lane. Because Zephyr's going to be there with Kuku to try and shut Natsumi down. And now speaking of, they are going to go on CML. That Cinderbrew slow is quite painful here for CML, but he will be able to get out of there. Throws a stun out just before he gets up. Not going to be an easy lane for this poor Venge.
No, definitely not. It's just the Cinder Brew along with the Shadow Strike is pretty annoying to deal with. Still, CML, he's doing his job. It's not Natsumi copying this damage, and so Natsumi can continue farming up.
Right. That's the whole point. If your Pos 5 dies a million times, it doesn't matter. As long as the Pos 1 is farming, they don't mind.
Oh yeah.
Mid lane, it's a very even matchup as expected, John. Carl is currently one last hit ahead of that Ember. Not for long though, Mac's gonna find that 11th one for himself now. We've seen Carl on the DK quite a lot over the past couple of days as well, and he has been very, very effective. I believe it was yesterday up against TNC, wasn't it? They just made it so TNC couldn't do anything towards them.
Yeah, it's really the tempo Carl brings for the hero. And the fact that, well, you can't really bully out the DK. In this case, I don't think the Ember Spirit's going to be as bad off, because you do have that Flame Guard to play with. You can burn through the armor just by staying in that lane, but it's still not going to be enough. Carl, once the Soul Ring's up, it's going to be consistent spam for the Breed Fire, and it's just going to be even.
Well, lane's just going very, very stable right now. Like Raven is suffering a little bit in the safe lane of the Radiant though. It is a bit difficult up against the Phoenix Elder Titan. They just deal so much magic up against this morph. That is going to be a core Phoenix as well, by the way. That's not really something we talked about. But Ben Sui is taking farm and XP priority. Moving on the Pos 4 Elder Titan. Is, you don't need the core Elder Titan at all. He just does his job regardless of whether he's playing core or support.
Yeah, and I like the levels that Boomy went for. He skips the sleep this game, opts for the natural order again to counteract the tankiness that Raven has. So he's going to have to be really careful in trading hits, and this is just allowing Ben Sui to find a lot more than you'd want a Phoenix to. He should have good timings into level 6 and a pretty good time into that Spirit Vessel.
Look at this mid lane. Both supports from GEEK fam made a rotation in mid, trying to go after Mac, but Mac is seemingly just fine. CML's going to TP in and fill up his bottle. And that also gives him a salve as well, so he's going to be just perfectly fine in all this. They definitely want to try and shut Mac down, because we've seen over multiple games now, Mac really does tend to escalate beyond control if you don't take care of him early on. And speaking of, he's going to make a chase onto Carl right now. With that Flame Guard damage, he may have enough, but it does wear off. Had it kept going, I think he would have just kept chasing.
Yeah, this is one of the issues for the DK. Like, he does have natural durability, but Ember Spirit doesn't care for that physical armor. So the matchup's not the best. You did have a bit more leeway early, but it's just about time where Mac can't pump up the damage. Once he has 6, he is most definitely going to try to find a kill.
Oh, absolutely. Top lane, CML, probably going to be the first blood here, and Zephyr does manage to pick it up. One of the very, very strong things about the Pos 4 Quap is you can do things like that. You have an inbuilt blink. The Shadow Strike is kind of a ridiculous slow and a ridiculous amount of damage right now. You can really dish it out onto the opposing Pos 5. Not so much the Medusa though, Zephyr. He'll have to back off, losing quite a bit of HP there up against Natsumi. Bot lane, looks like they are going to try and have a go here onto Raven. Boomy is diving now with Ben Soy. Icarus dive will land, and Boomy just really wants to keep chasing, but Raven will pull him out of there. But he has really struggled, John. 12 last hits on this Morphling thus far.
Yeah, that's so low compared to her Medusa. You see, Natsumi's at 22. That's 10 CS ahead. And keep in mind, the Morphling does not clear camps as fast as Medusa would with a Mask of Madness. So Raven, every single creep counts in this lane, and he's just not finding that space.
Well, look at this bonus damage that this Titan has, right, John. He's got 200 damage at the moment. That's the strength of the Astral Spirit in the laning phase. You just get so much temporary bonus damage. And Raven is just continuing to have to juggle around with this HP pool that he has. He's not feeling very safe at all. Just got 2 Wraith fans trying to build into that Morbid Mask, but it already seems like he's going to be relegated to just farm the jungle as soon as he does pick up that lifesteal. And even then, you already talked about it, but farming up against the Medusa in jungle is not the greatest idea, but you might have no choice here.
Yeah, it's just going to be limited for Raven, his presence going into this game, and this was really a key thing for GEEK fam. They could not allow Raven to fall this far behind. You start to look at Carl to maybe get those early rotations. He does have the 6, but looks like he's just going to maintain that mid lane.
As the DK, I think you just want to push the T1 tower mid, right? You're probably not going to rotate as the DK until that T1 tower mid takes a substantial amount of damage. Mac has been doing a great job of making sure that wave never gets pushed in.
Yeah, it's
Every time I've got Raven, John, he's just dropping so much HP, and I have to look over again just to make sure he's not dying. But yeah, it hasn't gotten any better.
No, it really hasn't, and it's just going to be a really slow start for a Morphling. It does bring to question whether or not the shotgun's going to be fast enough, and that's going to be a really big thing to miss out on. Again, that early damage when the Medusa's weak is when Morphling kind of shines, and as the moment slips away, you should start to consider maybe a diffusal build into a right-click focus.
They just can't slow him down right now. Natsumi's just continually free-farming. In the jungle right now, this is that point where you hope Zephyr makes those rotations, and he does. Spots out the Medusa. CML's going to be around the corner. Zephyr, got to be careful here as CML can stun him, but he will blink away. This is what he does need to do. He needs to keep eyes on Natsumi, soak XP off him, and try to steal as much gold away as he can. But even then, Natsumi just throwing out the Mystic Snake with those neutral creeps, it's just so much damage. You can't really contest too long. You need more than one support to deal with this hero.
It's getting really tricky to handle that too. So I think you'd want to see Zephyr and maybe Cuckoo dipping out, or again, even Carl, who does make a rotation top. Looks like they do want to pressure that tier 1, but you've already dragged the Medusa away anywhere. So taking this tower won't really stop Adroit's farms. It's still additional map control that could come out for GEEK fam.
Well, I think the idea is once they get this top tier 1, they go for the mid tier 1 and take over that dire jungle. But they do get started with the primal split. Cuckoo won't really find a target with that. He's just going to make sure they can secure that tier 1 without any kind of objection from Adroit. And immediately Carl's going to TP mid and try to start forcing in that tier 1 mid. Zephyr will jump in, Dragon Tail there onto the Medusa, but Natsumi will take no damage. He'll just walk away. But Carl doesn't care. Once you have that tier 1 mid, at least you can slow down the farm by taking the jungle over onto the Dire.
Yeah, it's not going to be an objective Adroit can afford to give out, but they're not really rotating the heroes down mid. I think they understand that Carl is just about to tick out of that dragon form, and again, you've got the D push from Natsumi. It's not really going to die to just the DK.
No, he definitely isn't. He'll be fine. Arcane Rune, they're going to try and fight over it. Natsumi will just deny it off. Now taking another stun out from Carl. I just don't think you have the damage, but they have gotten through most of the mana, but now Natsumi turns around to fight. Ben Soy is there as well. Egg being dropped. Zephyr is ticking out the damage, though he hits a Fairy Fire. He will survive, but no, the remnants come in. Mac, he wants to clean up here. He does not kill off Zephyr. Sleight of Fist was not enough from the Ember Spirit, and in all fairness, it is only a level 1 Sleight of Fist. So now Adriot, they try to force in the mid-tier 1, but you are up against an Ogre Magi. That means these towers are going to be very hard to take down.
Yeah, we've seen that in multiple games now when the Ogre is up. It just becomes really hard to force in those towers when the Bloodlust is up and running. So, gonna have to slow it down once more, Adriot. It's been a rather slow game from both teams. 1-0 at 11 minutes. The lowest kill count we've seen so far in the BTS Pro Series Season 2, and that's really just down to the cores they have. They're saving space for Natsumi, and GEEK Fam is trying to do the same for Raven, so it's basically going to be a farm game for a while.
I think they just respect each other. I think Adriot understand that GEEK Fam is a very, very strong team, and GEEK Fam obviously understand the same about Adriot. You just don't want to give that little advantage away that could escalate past the point of return. There'll be a smoke up from GEEK Fam now. They're going to run down to the bot lane. They do have Primal Split and they do have Dragon Form back up now, so they want to try and make use of it. Again, they'd love to find Natsumi, but instead they're going to run straight into CML, who will break the smoke, but they're not going to be able to catch him up. So GEEK Fam, yeah, they're not going to find anything out of this. And it seems as though they're kind of stuck as to what to do. Because you can't really escalate with this draft until that mid-tier 1's gone for GEEK Fam. But Adriot is defending it so well that you just can't even get close.
Yeah, they've got problems initiating as well. If they don't toss Raven in, he's their highest mobility hero, then the only person with a disable they can toss is Carl, but he's still saving up for a blink. So it is just down to timings. Like, Zephyr could blink in first, but if you don't have the control, well, you've got two highly mobile heroes that can just run away. So the initiation's never quite safe. They do try to clump up mid again, though.
Earthspinner coming out from Boom. He's going to get a lot of damage on Carl. He is already falling low, but Cuckoo is going to jump in with the Primal Split. Now Matt's going to be in a bit of trouble. Losing HP there to Cuckoo. Sonic Wave, Zephyr. He connects on everyone, but they'll drop the egg. The egg is going to go down very quickly, though. Raven is also there to help out with that. And they are just going to force their way into this tier 1 tower. If you're not going to open the door, we'll keep the door down. But Mac is still trying to fight back. Natsumi's here as well. Another great stomp out from Boomy. Cuckoo will die, however. Now Natsumi is surrounded, but he is still trying to fight back. Mac, meanwhile, finding Whiteman. He's surrounded as well. He should go down to Carl, and does. GEEK Fam are still trying to breach that tier 1. Adriot are treating this tier 1 tower like it's their high ground tier 3 tower. And it will finally go down.
Yeah, it's a big objective for them to take. Like you mentioned, this does allow them additional control in that jungle. Adriot, very disjointed execution there, not really landing the spell combos they want. And you look at Natsumi, he does have the Mask of Madness, but doesn't have the skill point just yet on the Stone Gaze. So the presence of the Medusa is not at its highest. And that is something GEEK Fam now is really starting to abuse. They pull ahead 5-1, a 2k net worth advantage, and you look at Raven, you know, he's still doing fine in farm, 300 gold ahead of the Medusa. How long that'll last? Probably not too long, as Natsumi now can clear out these camps a lot faster.
He is actually going into the Yasha build as well, that Morphling. He's not going straight for the shotgun build, which makes you kind of ask the question, what itemization is he going for now? Because is he going to build the Manta, or is he really just going to go into the Sergeant Yasha?
Yeah, it's really up in the air. I think if you are just going to go for straight right clicks, S and Y is going to be a lot better. There's no real point for the Manta here, unless you're really worried about the chains from Mac. It's been rather inconsistent anyway, and I think Mac has a tendency to focus on other heroes. So no real need for the Manta in this game just yet, unless you get worried about, say, the Spirit Vessel down the line, but you can just disassemble.
Nice little bounty rune still there from Pensoy. Now they're going to try and go onto Whiteman, but he will avoid the stomp from the Elder Titan. Mac is out now, joining the side of Adriot as well. Wanting to go down to that bot tier 1. Thing with Adriot, they haven't found any towers yet. They desperately need to get at least 1 or 2 going for themselves. course, this does tend to happen when you have a Medusa in your team. You kind of give up those towers and just continue protecting that Medusa till the late game. Not to mention, of course, it is still very, very hard to get tier 1 towers when they have bloodlust on them like this. Like, how do you get through the tower? They just glyph it up, and well, Matt, he's trying to tank the tower hits. Now Boomy will take over, but protect that creep wave from the siege creep. And eventually they will get through the tower, but their tier 2 top is being pushed in now by Raven. So he's going to TP in to slow this down. He does have the Veil of Discord up on the Phoenix, so it's a lot of magic damage being dealt out to Raven. He'll just kind of walk away from that tier 2 for now, but it already has been a substantial amount of damage.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
The way that Geek Fam's playing their draft is starting to really hurt Adriot. Like, they're starting to find the early momentum in the map. They've taken over that top jungle. They've got good wards watching that area and lane, although they do find Whitemon down bot, but that's just an ogre.
Yeah, it's just a nice, easy kill.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Adriot just taking whatever they can get. Zephyr going to spot out Natsumi on that Medusa, who does now go into the Manta style. Top of the net worth board is Natsumi. Raven's still just behind him. He's trying to finish a Manta off of his own. Just really trying to get through that tier 2 top tower. I'm kind of surprised Cuckoo hasn't joined up at the top lane yet, but looks like he doesn't have the dragon form anyway, so he's just kind of waiting out and farming up himself. He is working towards that BKB, and no, never mind. He is going to start running up towards the north. I think if Carl was there initially, you probably would have already killed that tier 2 tower.
Yeah, would have been a faster take. Still, Geek Fam are kind of happy to just take their time like this. They know Adriot, they may be finding farm in Natsumi, but you look at the farm of Bensoy and Mac, it's not as great. Has been tapering off, so Adriot is starting to pile all their eggs into one basket, although they do smoke up.
Oh, smoke can be broken straight away here on Whiteman. It's a smoke on smoke situation. Ward's being placed. Adriot, they're going to loop around now. Boomy trying to scout out, does get stunned up. Natsumi now will get started on Whiteman, but here it goes. The stone gauge is there from Natsumi. Geek Fam, of course, are just going to immediately back off. He's in a tornado right now, but Whiteman, he will go down straight away. Cuckoo still trying to deal with the side of Adriot, while Carl and Raven do come back in. Sonic Wave again, massive from Zephyr, hitting 3 heroes. They just continue to tornado up that Medusa. Natsumi now needs to back out of there. They've stunned him up. Cinderbrew there as well. He hasn't got any more HP and he will die. And that was the plan all along from the Brewmaster, John. You just constantly tornado that Medusa and she can't do anything anyway.
Yeah, it's been really, really good targeting coming out from Cuckoo and Adriot. They're just not able to do anything about it. They might lose more if they're not careful.
Boomy trying to TP out. There's no stuns available, I don't believe. And he will be just fine to get out of there. So they don't actually go for that top tier 2 tower either, Geek Fam. They just kind of keep chasing for kills and eventually back off the farm again. Just not really prioritizing that top tier 2 yet.
I think that's fine though. They are pulling ahead in net worth now. You're seeing the farm build up and Carl starting to pay off. Cuckoo's still lagging behind a bit, but not by much. He just needs to... Oh, he already has a blink, so you can argue that the Brewmaster's pretty much set. Adriot, they still have to stall this game out. Their execution has kind of fallen flat. They just keep going for Whitemon first, and they throw a lot of spells out for the Ogre. They don't have the follow-up afterwards. Like, that was a really early Stone Gaze usage from Natsumi as well. He needed it much later when they were trying to commit onto him, along with the egg running. Those two need to synchronize to maximize their team fight here, and Adriot's been forced to stagger them. It is hurting their potential. So, just a tightening of that execution and giving more time to the Medusa to find at least one more item. The Manta style is going to help massively.
Moving into that bot lane now, Geek Fam. Natsumi is going to be around to clear out the creep wave.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Droid just sticking as 5 for the moment. Not wanting to get caught out here. Mac going to start on Cuckoo. There will be a swap out on the Brewmaster as well, and that will be a very, very easy kill. He doesn't have the primal split to really save himself. It's a great setup there from Adriot now. This will buy even more time for the side of Adriot.
Dire's top tower.
Yeah,
is
definitely
under
will.
attack.
They do manage to finally take out that tier 2 top though. So the top jungle is completely gone. Natsumi's it's not gonna spend any time there. Does have the Manta style on the Medusa, so there's a little bit more stats coming out. Just a little bit more flexibility as well in purging off certain spells and dodging certain spells. So do you have that on hand? It's still, you know, not quite the strongest point for Natsumi. I think you'd really want to see the level 20 talent to be up and running. Actually, even just 15 is going to help a lot with the added mana gain. We've seen Natsumi just burn through that mana very fast. It's not a very tanky Medusa just yet.
No, not quite yet. You haven't built into that Spirit Vessel yet for Zephyr on that Queen of Pain. He's currently just holding onto that urn. Not really feeling the necessity to have that Spirit Vessel up. Can definitely help quite a bit up against the Medusa, but no necessity for it yet. GEEK Band, they're going to try for that Roshan now. Raven, of course, hitting very, very hard on that Morphling. We'll be able to take it out, and look, Raven is working towards that Ethereal Blade now, followed by a Butterfly. Should have that Eagle Song up fairly soon.
Just gives him a lot more presence in the fights, and of course that's a free disarm onto the Medusa, so a lot of value with that pickup still, even if it doesn't burst down, and that should give him even more control in these fights. So Adriot, again, they've got to be careful about how they execute. You've got a BKB up and running on Karl now, so a lot of that magic damage that was burning through Karl earlier, not going to be a factor. It's going to be really hard to deal with DK. You don't quite have the physical damage up and running yet on Natsumi, so it's going to be hard to just handle Karl.
Droid still sticking as 3 at the moment in this mid lane, just trying to delay that wave being pushed out. Karl gonna jump in, pops a Dragonfall, trying to go after the Venge, and CML should die very easily. Hello? Oh, it's my turn to disconnect from the game.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, just standard stuff. They are sieging the tier 2. Karl, with the Dragon form, of course, can pump out a lot of damage, although the creep wave is not really there, so you're forced to wait out just a bit.
You fought and died.
Of the dead. Dire's structures are fortified.
It's pretty choked out. Yeah, that's gonna stay that way for a while. Once Natsumi has not even a butterfly, but I think it's gonna take until the BKB for Natsumi to let off some steam and start to give space to his other cores. Before that, you know, it's just gonna be slow build up for Mac, slow build up for Bensoy. They still are about to hit some key timings though. Bensoy is just a few gold away from a Lotus Orbital though. Ooh. Yeah, it's
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
yeah, they're really just laying it onto Adroit. Adroit, they're not quite playing as well as we'd expect them to. They are just streaming in one by one, and with those key kills, I mean, Carl's just on a roll. Ah, yeah, it's perfectly fitting as well, of course. Dragon with a dragon scale, you would expect that. Still, Adroit, I mean, it really is falling apart. It's a 5k lead for Geek Fam. It's not quite the end of the world. It's not a massive lead. Adroit just needs to hold this high ground. You know, this is where the Medusa can really shine if you play the stall game. It just clears out the high ground really well, and you've got good team fight up here. It's a tight area. Your Elder Titan shines, your Phoenix shines as well. You just need that to be up and running.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
With my thanks.
Worthy tribute.
No. No, they really can't, and Adroit, they're gonna really just have to ride through the rough waves if they want. Geek Fam now with an 8k lead. As you mentioned, they're just building up a lot better on everyone else. Raven's had good progress. He's approaching his own butterfly at a very good pace. And you look at Carl, he is opting for the SNY now, and just for added right-click and durability. So a lot of things shaping up. I mean, Adroit, they did finish up the Lotus Orb on Bensoy, and I believe the BKB is going to be up soon. In fact, it does look like he's flying that out, or... Yeah, I think, yeah, there it is. So, you do have a lot more potential to stand in front, but there's a lot that you have to pull off now. The map is shrinking, and Geek Fam, they're starting to widen that lead.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
May the elders triple kill. You're washed up.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's bottom barracks are under attack. Dire's bottom barracks has fallen. Dire's bottom barracks are under attack. Dire's bottom barracks has fallen. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Really is, and Adroit, they bled out a lot in that last exchange. You look at Natsumi now, Mike. It's straight into the divine. That's it. There's just no room for anything less on the Medusa. They need the divine up and running. She does have the BKB, so Natsumi does have that added durability. Shouldn't be cycloned anymore. Really has to be able to be there to pump the damage out, to get the combo with the egg. They just need to land that every single time, and does feel like Adroit's starting to find those tools, but the map is really dark. They just can't stick out too far. And Geek Fam, one small misstep from Adroit, they can really punish hard.
Radiant are scanning. Dire are scanning.
Oh. Oh no.
Triple kill. Ultra kill.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
Gratitude.
Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
You fought and died.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen. Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
Oh man. Oh, Geek Fam. Need a rush. They're just gonna go straight for the Megas, and Mac, he's gonna have to try to hold out. Just the two of them with Boomy. They don't have their ults, they don't have the egg.
Attack. Dire's top barracks has fallen. Dire's top barracks has fallen. The Radiant now have mega creeps. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, Adroit, they went for the Medusa. Natsumi just could not find the early farm, and it really came